Welcome to Hartley Game Day. It's being brought to you by Hutta and Price Orthodontics. I'm Bob McElligott. Let me tell you about Dr. Hutta and Dr. Price over at Hutta and Price Orthodontics. They make you feel comfortable from the very first moment you walk through the door. It happened to me. Both of my kids had to have braces, and I took them to Dr. Hutta. Well, at some point during all of this, he sat down and talked with me and told me how he could improve my smile. He went through the plan along with his staff, and then they just went right through and did everything they said that they would do. And that's what they'll do for you as well. At Hutta and Price Orthodontics, you can trust their plan and trust that they're going to execute it in the way that they say. And when you come out, you are going to have a great looking smile. You can schedule a free consultation by going to their website, which is easy to find at lovethatsmile.net. The Hartley Hawks 1-1 after a win over Harvest Prep last week. 21-14 was the final score in that game. The win coming in the first home game at Jack Ryan Field this year. And now the Hawks are on the road to take on Canal Winchester this week. The Indians are 2-0. They beat Groveport Madison. They've also knocked off Central Crossing so far this season. So this should be another good matchup between the Hartley Hawks and a team that is basically right in their own backyard. Right now, it's time for me to bring in the head coach of the Hawks, Brad Birchfield. Well, Brad, quite a difference between week one and week two for your team. Week one, you go up to Ursuline. It's a shootout. You lose that game by a couple of points, and you come home. You have the opener against Harvest Prep, and it's just a grinded out 21-14 win. Besides the win itself, what did you like the most about the way your team played last week?
You're right. You like the win the most, but I think that we made improvements in a lot of areas. There's no question we made improvements in coverage. And, the Harvest Prep had a great quarterback, had a great receiving core. Maybe their quarterback wasn't the Shannon kid from Ursuline, but he's still really, really good and could cause us a lot of problems. And so I thought we did better there. The Jennings, the tailback for them, is just a monster. He's going to be a great player. I mean, he's going to be the Division V player of the year. There's no question of that. And I thought that we were able to kind of hang in there with him. I mean, he's a great player. You're never going to stop him, but at least you hang in there with him, make it tough on him. And I think in the end, we probably made it a little tough on him, and that was important when we needed it the most. Harvest Prep has a great team. I mean, when they hung 60 on Eastmoor, and we know Eastmoor's pretty good. And they're not going to lose another game the rest of the year. So to get a win of that caliber over a team that's going to put that many points in our pocket was important for us this stage of the season.
How big of a challenge was it when Aiden Rogers, their quarterback, he gets hurt and it's a freak play. He's just leaping in the air to try to get a high snap, comes down awkwardly on his ankle. So after that point, well, he was out for the rest of the first half, and then he was in and out during the second half of that game. But then Jennings takes over in a wildcat formation, and, you're preparing all week for different things. Then all of a sudden you've got that wildcat. What kind of a challenge was that for your defense to adjust to?
Well, it was challenging. Listen, every time they give him the ball, it's a challenge because he's such a great player. But there's pros and cons to that. Obviously, I felt like, he didn't finish the game at the end, was either hurt or cramped or whatever it was. But I think that they're giving it to him every play. It's going to take a toll on the running back. There's no question of that. But in the meantime, that running back is really, really good and requires all of our attention. And so, I mean, that's a huge, huge challenge for us. We had to change a little bit midstream. I mean, people think that if you can make them left-handed, because the Rogers kid was a really good quarterback and they threw the ball well, that it gives you advantages, but it doesn't, because you spent so much time during the week working on both aspects of the game. You've got to change things in mid-stripe. And their offensive line was gargantuan. I mean, they're a huge, huge line. So they were able to lean on that a little bit. But like I said, you held them to 14 points when they had 60 the week before. You feel better about the direction things were going.
When you're talking about stopping the running game, the defensive line is important, but those linebackers, that second line of defense there is, tracking those guys coming out of the backfield, making the good, strong tackles. That's really, really important. Assess for me your linebackers, if you would, over the first two games, where they are and where you think they're going.
We were typical to a Hartley team that is trying to figure out what our best combinations are, where they best fit. And it's always difficult because week one, it was a passing game. Obviously they could run the ball too with the tailbacks really good, but they wanted to throw, they did their deal throwing it deep on us. So you want to loosen those linebackers up. Well, last week you want to make them more aggressive, and that's a hard thing to do. I'm thankful we need to be aggressive this week because they've got another just outstanding running back. And I'm thankful we played a running team last week so we could at least do better with the linebackers being aggressive. The first week you just paralyze these linebackers because they're so multiple in what they did. And that's a tough one to go. But I've been pleased. When Sherrod hits you, it hurts. And Tuck is a really versatile player for us, Deshaun Tucker. And the outside linebackers, I'm just really excited about them. That's going to be the best combination we might have ever had.
Aiden Turner had an interception for you last week. He almost had two, as a matter of fact. Tell me about his play, what you like about him in the coverage game, and the upside that you think that he has.
He's done great. Richard has always been a great corner for us on the other side and played for 3 years. And Aiden, it just worked his behind off to get stronger and more physical. And it has paid off. It is an example that when you're committed to the weight room, you're going to just see the benefits and confidence. And Aiden is so much more confident, and he's become a great, great player for us. And we're really proud of him. Great kid.
On the offense, when you needed the play, you got the play. You're driving there in the third quarter. Your offense got itself in a couple of situations. There was a 3rd and 19 you were able to get out of. They made the big plays when they had to. And again, Niall Johnson, huge 41-yard touchdown run. That really kind of turned the game, not just score-wise, but momentum-wise. It was at that point that you really felt, I know from the stands and from the booth, it felt like you guys were back in control of the game. And no surprise, again, it's Johnson that delivers that.
Yeah, I read Coach Smith's comments, Harvest Prep coach, who I have a lot of respect for and genuinely like, and he said he thought the better team won. I thought that was complimentary of him to say that. But I think we did play pretty well. I know Coach Sawyer was beating himself up, but we were in the red zone twice and missed field goal. And the other time, I think penalties took us out of it. Those are things that are correctable that we're going to have to continue to do. We all feel he feels a lot better if it's 35-14 rather than 21-14, which I think could have been that way. And but it wasn't, and credit to them for that. But those are things that we can correct and continue to correct.
When you talk about Niall specifically, how much do you like his running? Because he's got that little shiftiness to him there. And I hope I'm not putting this too high, but that almost that Le'Veon Bell thing where he can get to the line, he can slow everything down, including his body, until he finds that opening and then quickly accelerate and hit the hole.
Another guy that's made huge commitments. So he's been a 3-year starter for us. So he's been a great player, but made huge commitments in the weight room. Squat with like our highest squat guy, and it's paid off for him. You look how much faster he is this year than he was last year. That's a huge difference. He's always been a strong, punishing runner, and it takes its toll. But he's been so much more decisive in terms of taking holes, and that's allowed him to break away more. So his breakaway speed has improved quite a bit, and it's been a great thing to see here starting off the year. And
I want to bring up Deontay Hubbard too, because he ran the ball very well for you again. And that continues on from week 1, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's a great player on defense for us too. And he's only going to get a lot better. So he didn't even scratch the surface of where he can be, but he's scratching it every week and continuing to get better.
All right. Well, when those guys are running the ball well, the guys that are doing work that never get recognized, of course, is that offensive line. Daniel Tueson's been a 4-year starter for you, and we hear about him all of the time. Who are the other guys right in the thick of that line that are doing such good work that's giving your running backs the opportunity to get those yards?
Yeah, you're always led by your seniors, and Andrew McFeeters has done a great job at guard, and Carson Schaefer is not the biggest guy, surrounded by giants, but he's done a great job at center. And Avion Murphy is another one who's worked so hard and doing so great, and he's a monster. And I worry we wear him out sometimes because we play him on both offense and defense, but he's only going to get better by doing that. And we're excited about him. And then Donovan Davis is a sophomore starting at the other guard. And again, his upside is huge. We're not there yet on the offensive line. Again, typical to every single year of how we play, but just wait till the games get even more important and these guys are going to be even better.
You mentioned earlier missed field goal in that game, and you had Ryan Hawk as your kicker for the last couple of years. Alex Gabriel is your kicker this year. He also put an extra point off the upright in that game against Harvest Prep. So I know that's frustrating for him, potential 4 points that was missed, but you like this guy, right? You like what he brings to the table, and especially when it comes to the kickoffs.
Yeah, he puts him in the end zone, which is crucial for us. And he, obviously the extra points need to get more consistent, but they will with practice. I mean, he's a really good soccer player too. So we don't, the more he kicks, the better off he's going to be. And it's just going to come with time. But I'm excited about him. He's going to be a weapon for us, and it'll be good. But it's everything. It's the timing of it. It's the protection. It's all those kind of things that just take time and real live reps.
Yeah, and when you're talking about putting the ball in the end zone, it's important at every level, but especially at high school, because usually you've got the one guy you're trying to kick away from, and you have a couple of game breakers back there in most cases. So if you make sure they don't even touch the ball, that's a great plus.
Yeah, when they do touch the ball, though, it isn't good. That last kickoff after we scored, it went back to the 50. That wasn't good. Ursuline took one back. So, you're shooting dice a little bit back there, but it'll get better.
All right. This week, you've got Canal Winchester. They come into this game with a record of 2-0. They beat Grove Fort Madison last week. They beat Central Crossing. This is a team that's given up 3 points over the course of 2 games. When you look at them, what do you see?
Oh, they're incredibly confident. They're playing with a ton of passion and energy, and they're a really good football team. I mean, I don't know that I expected them to be quite this good when kind of going through the summer, but man, this is a legitimate good team. They have a new coach and Coach Keener, and you could tell that he's got the kids playing really hard, really, really hard. And that's the big thing. They're so aggressive on defense. They blitz every down, and that's gonna cause us a lot of practice time and a lot of sleepless nights seeing if we can get ready. Certainly, they're going to get us at some point. It's not going to be a perfect game, but they're aggressive and they're doing a great job, and they're really, really good. Now, the tailback Stephen Bird is going to Cincinnati. He's a great player, different than Jennings, who was last week, who might have been a little bit leaner. Bird is much more physical, seems to be. Again, I'll give a full analysis after the game comparing the two. I've got a lot of questions comparing the two. I just know they're both really, really, really good.
When it comes to the blitz, and you just mentioned a few moments ago, you're not exactly where you want to be with the offensive line, but especially with the blitz, your running backs have to pick things up at times. Will you look to exploit that by maybe catching them in the blitz, getting the ball to the running back and getting them through that? Or will they have to pick up more blocks and protect Peyton Underwood a little bit more?
Yeah, certainly they'll have to. And, some of those things are assignment based, and it just takes reps and doing it over and over and over. They're going to get us at some point. I mean, there's no question of that, but we've got to be quick in making adjustments and quick in making corrections. And, it's scary, but obviously if we could catch them, it would be good for us, but there's no guarantees either way of how that's going to happen. You just got to keep working.
All right, Brad, thank you very much, and best of luck on Friday night.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Friday night's game gets underway at 7 o'clock. We'll have a radio broadcast of the game for you on the GBSN radio network. You can find it online at gamedaybroadcasting.com. Again, the kickoff is at 7 o'clock between the Hawks and the Indians of Canal Winchester. That'll do it for today's Hartley Football Game Day. It's been brought to you by Hutton and Price Orthodontics. I'm Bob McElligott.